This is Greg Strange, and welcome to the latest of these IoD vidcasts. We're talking education today with IoD Director General Miles Templeman. Miles, we're in the middle of the exam results season. Kids have been getting the results all over the country. But how useful are these results for your members when they're trying to recruit people for their businesses?
Well, they're important. A-levels are a good guide to skills at that level. GCSEs coming out this week, again important. But what we don't like is all the sort of annual debate about pass rates and so on. That's not the important issue. The important issues are about the big skills questions for the UK economy as a whole.
Before we address that, do your members still have confidence in the exam system? A lot of suggestions it's been dumbed down to suit statistics.
Well, some members do think that. There's no doubt that there is a hint of dumbing down. But I have to say, all the evidence doesn't support it. And I have to trust the experts who are deeply involved in this. I've met many people in the educational world, and they all tell me, no, they're not dumbed down, and therefore you should trust them. And on the whole, I believe that.
Looking more widely at the school system in general, do you think the government's doing enough to drive up standards? Numeracy, literacy, that kind of thing?
Well, there's many different questions in that. Basically, our members don't think they are. And 80% of our members say they're not getting quite what they need from the education system in total. And one of the big areas you've touched on there is basic numeracy and literacy for 16-year-olds. That's where it all has to start.
How does the government do that?
Very difficult. The government gets blamed for a lot of things. One good thing about this government is at least they've raised the agenda. Skills are right up the top of the agenda, and that's as it should be. But how they improve the performance in schools, how they get these 10 to 14-year-olds, it's not just the 16-year-olds, really involved in education, so they find subjects they want to learn. And you have to believe if a kid's at school and motivated, they must learn to read and write.
Now, this debate usually hinges around schools, but what about the next stage on? What about further education and higher education?
Well, I agree with you. That's the second big area. What are we doing after 16? Having got to basics, if we improve them, how are FE colleges and then universities going to give employers what they need? And there's a lot of debate about more flexibility in courses, about how to make sure that every kid after 16 does do some sort of training, which we think is absolutely important, but it mustn't be compulsory. The idea of compulsory training is a nonsense. You've got to be willing to learn, you've got to see the value of learning, but we think there should be a real focus on a greater variety of courses, sandwich courses, apprenticeships and so on, so that every 16, 17-year-old feels there's something they can learn.
Now, we've now got a situation where we've got two government departments covering education. Good news or bad news?
Not sure. Splitting it could give greater focus to schools and the family bit, and could give greater focus to higher education in the skills part. I guess we're not clear. What we do hope is that there won't be greater bureaucracy, greater sort of management and layers of government and so on. But they're good ministers in charge. Maybe it will give us a new edge.
Can the IoD membership as a whole help? Should they be getting involved in some way in education, in schools, colleges, that kind of thing?
They certainly should be, and many of them are. Many of them are governors, many of them are involved with schools, and one of our big policies is to really push more business involvement. I work on the Young Enterprise Board with businesses getting involved with schools. We want more businessmen to be connected with their local schools, and also we want more connections with universities and colleges. Many do it. But every time I go to a college or a school, they all say they could have more contact. The trouble is it takes time. All of our members are very busy people. They haven't got time to give a lot of sort of attention to this area. But believe me, if they can give some time, the schools and the colleges need it.
Miles, thank you very much.